What's up, family? Hope you all are doing great, and thank you so much for coming back to another video. Today, we want to talk to you about how you can move to Florida in 8 easy steps.
We do all kinds of videos on moving to Florida and all the fun things you can do when you get here.
So if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe down below and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new uploads or when we go live to answer your questions. All right, let's do this.
Let's do it.
Dive right in. Oh my gosh, you guys have been waiting for this forever.
I know, we're so excited.
Busy Kid is an allowance and chore app that gives parents total control over the chores their children do, the money they get paid for them, as well as what they do with that money. Should they spend it? Should they save it? Or should they donate it? They can even buy stocks. Busy Kid has changed our lives. It has gotten our children to do the chores we want them to do, and it's teaching them great financial responsibility for their futures. So check out the link down in our description and see for yourself what makes Busy Kid so great. So the first step you should take to move to Florida is to set some goals for yourself.
So I don't know if any of you have ever heard of a vision board, but it's been a game changer for myself. What it is you can grab a board, doesn't matter what it is, poster board.
Piece of cardboard?
Exactly. And you set your goals and you can put pictures up. So not only is it having your goals written down, but then you can visually see them.
And seeing your goals in front of you every day is a huge motivator, and it's gonna make you not slack off.
Yep.
So your goals should include things like the date you want to move to Florida by, as well as where you want to move and your ideal job that you want to gain here down in Florida.
You should also list some of the reasons why you want to make this move down to Florida anyways. So step 2 is to position yourself.
Now, by position yourself, we mean exactly that. Put yourself in a position to move to Florida. If you own a house, do the things right now that you can do to get your house ready to sell, whether that be doing minor improvements, staging, or getting rid of things you don't need. Talk to your local real estate agent. They'll give you all the tips that they can to help your house sell quickly. If your move happens to be a year, maybe 2 years out, or even longer, and you own a house, maybe consider selling that house sooner rather than later. You can put yourself in a rental home with a short-term lease that turns month to month as soon as your lease is up. That way, you have the flexibility to move whenever it's convenient for you.
And just having that off your shoulders,
Yeah,
the weight of having to get it sold quickly.
That's something that we did, and it was a great weight lifted off of our shoulders,
Yes,
knowing that when the opportunity is right, you can pick up and go. Before we move to step 3, another thing I want to throw in positioning yourself to get ready to move is to make sure your family members, meaning your spouse and your children, are all on the same page.
Yep.
The last thing that you're going to want to do is to make a decision on your own and have everyone else in your family be unhappy with your decision. So step 3 is to start the purging process. Here in Florida, you may not know this, but we don't have basements. Most of you moving from the Northeast, Midwest, wherever else, more than likely you have basements that you've been hoarding all of your things in for the last 10, 15, 20 years. Who knows? All sorts of stuff you don't need. All those sweatshirts you got, you might want to keep a couple. You should get rid of a lot of them. Instead of throwing all these things away, try selling some things on places like Facebook Marketplace or even Craigslist.
Or you could donate to your local churches or any other community centers in your neighborhood.
Even homeless shelters. We recommend you start this purging process well before your move. If you're gonna do like we mentioned previously and sell your home and then move into a rental, why not purge all of your stuff before you move into the rental? It will relieve a huge burden off your shoulders of rushing, trying to get rid of so many things in a short period of time, and maybe just giving them away rather than making some money that you could use towards your move.
And guys, there's so many resources out there. Like we've always said, there's a group for everything.
On Facebook.
There's a ton of groups on Facebook. One of them being my favorite is Simply Bridget. So Simply Bridget has a Facebook page and she gives you all sorts of tips on organizing and purging.
I think she's even got some like wellness stuff on
She
her
does.
page too.
So step 4 is pinpoint your location.
Now, where exactly you want to move in Florida could depend a lot on the situation that you're in. If you're moving by yourself, you might be a lot more open to move almost anywhere in the state that you can find employment, or whatever place in the state suits your lifestyle the best. But if you're moving with a family, you might want to take things into consideration like healthcare and schools. Finding that perfect location in Florida that offers great schools along with great healthcare leads us right into our number 5 tip on how you can move to Florida. And that's one that we preach to you guys all the time. Research, research, research.
Guys, we tell you this all the time.
All the time.
There are so many Facebook groups for any community and all communities out there.
And all of them that we've had experience with are very open to helping everybody, letting you know what schools are good, what healthcare is good, what neighborhoods to steer away from, what neighborhoods are good neighborhoods. Every city almost has a good area and a bad area. And if you go in these groups, they'll help you better understand which area is best for yourself. To research schools and all of their ratings, we depend on sites like niche.com as well as greatschools.org. Now, number 6 is kind of a two-parter. And depending on which route you take, you might want to put this a little bit earlier in the process rather than later. So number 6 is finding employment or saving up. If you choose to move to Florida without employment and just moving down with a lump sum, we highly recommend starting this process probably number 1 on the list. You're going to want to have at least 3 months of living expenses.
Maybe even more.
You don't want to be stuck down here without a job and then blowing through all your money only to fail and move back home. Which is why we highly also recommend finding secure employment before moving to Florida. I would not recommend looking for employment more than about 2 to 3 months prior to your goal date to actually move. And the reason for that is because if you tell an employer, yes, I'm looking for a job down in Florida, but I don't want to move for 6 months, they're more than likely going to move on to the next candidate. Most employers that have help wanted ads out on the internet or are accepting resumes are looking for help right now, not a half a year in the future.
So number 7, guys, is preparing yourself emotionally.
Big one.
So there's so much of the physical stuff that we had previously talked about, but one that isn't talked about too much is emotionally. You have to emotionally set yourself up and prepare yourself for this. This is a life-changing event. And I'm telling you, you may be riding that wave, you're up on adrenaline because your move is getting close and you think you're going to be fine. But when you're here, it's going to hit you. So my suggestion, if you're anything like Eric and I, and we're big family and friends people, spend as much time, say those things that need to be said, and just
enjoy it.
And just, even if you have moments where you have time by yourself or you can take a drive, whatever, you need to understand that you've got to cut yourself some slack, and you need to understand that this is going to be a big change.
Right before your move, it's going to feel like, oh my gosh, it's finally happening. This is going to be a huge vacation.
Yeah.
And it is like that at first, minus all the having to put all your stuff away and everything.
Yep.
But the fact of the matter is, you still are going to have to live life here in Florida, unless you're lucky enough to be retiring here right now, which some of you may be. But life still happens in Florida. We still go to work. We still have to bring our kids to school.
Yep.
We still have to cook dinner every night. It's not just a giant vacation, right? We're not going to Disney every day. It's still life. So just remember that and prepare yourself for that as well. It's a beautiful life.
It is.
But it's still life. So the 8th and final step for how you should move to Florida is to get your stuff together.
Get it together.
This whole process should take place about 1 to 2 months before your actual move. You're going to have to figure things out like, are you going to hire movers or are you moving your own stuff? See who has the best deal and what works best for you. If you're a family that has multiple vehicles, are you both going to drive down? There's options like that out there where you can ship cars via a freight truck or even on a train. Maybe you have a friend that could drive it down and you can buy them a cheap plane ticket back. Then you got help for the move too.
Yeah.
Other things you're going to want to get ready to get your stuff together before your move include switching your car insurance over to Florida. This absolutely needs to be done prior to you getting a driver's license in Florida, which is also something that you should set your appointment for prior to coming down. The DMVs here are usually backed up and can sometimes take 3 to 4 weeks before you even get an appointment. Also, do things like planning your route down if you're driving, and make sure you're not pushing yourself to the limit. Take time for breaks, especially if you're driving a U-Haul or a big truck with all of your belongings. You could do a lot of damage on the road if you're driving tired, so please take your time. Lastly, you should call places like your utility company and know ahead of time if you're going to have to put down a deposit to set up service. You should also make a Florida budget, know exactly what your bills are going to be and what money is coming in, so that you know exactly how much extra you're going to be taking home each month and can enjoy here in the great state of Florida. So that's it. That's how you move to Florida. It's as easy as that. We hope you learned something from this video and you can start your process today. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.